Hello, guys, it's Mac here from Easy Customs or Easy RGH Mods. And so today I thought I would do a very nice video today about RGH1, RGH1.2, and RGH2. I'm going to be excluding RJ tag and anything else that has to do besides RGH. So what is an RGH? Well, I'm gonna pull out my paint. You guys are probably getting sick of this, but it's probably the best way that I can describe this. So, what an RGH stands for is something called a Okay, you wanna screw that. It is called a reset glitch hack. And then we'll make this bigger. Okay, it stands for a reset glitch hack. If you ever hear RGH, that's its meaning. RGH, reset glitch hack. Now you guys might be saying to yourself, why do they call it an RGH? Well, one of the reasons why is because A, it resets the motherboard, 2, it glitches it, and then 3, it loads the modified or the hacked NAND. So, you might be saying, well, how does this affect me? Well, without the reset glitch hack, we would simply not have a brand new method of glitching our systems. Back then, it was the JTAG. JTAG is simply a debugging method that is used, usually for debugging types of electronics. And luckily, it was able to be used in the older consoles. Not anymore. One of the reasons why is because Microsoft had stepped up their game, and you are no longer able to do a JTAG on the newer consoles. Now, stepping away from the JTAG side, let's move to the RGH side. First things first, starting with RGH1. So let's just pop it out. We have RGH1. Well, what does RGH1 mean? Simply what RGH1 means is it's a reset glitch hack 1. The reset glitch hack 1 was used on the fat consoles, and then this right here is where our Google comes in. Fat console. And as you guys can see, they're mostly used on these consoles as well as the JTAG. The RGH1 was simply modified at below the dash kernel of 14699. Anything above cannot be RGH1able. So how does the RGH1 work? Well, I'll show you guys. Actually, you wanna know what? I can show you guys a lot better right here. Let's show you guys. Cool effects. Okay, we're going to use this. Okay, so simply Team Executor, which the great company, I mean, I can't really complain about them besides their prices and their forums, but they have simply revolutionized the modding, the modified systems, and they made it to where it works. It's probably the best. But again, they kind of slipped. So this right here is called a glitch chip, which without this, we would not have any modified consoles besides JTAGs. There might have been another way, but most likely not. So how the RGH1 would work. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, anyway, how this would work is that the chip would simply glitch the system. It would reset the motherboard. and then it would simply glitch it, and then we would use the hacked image. And what we would have to do is the chip would kind of correspond, well, not really correspond, but communicate with the board, with the Xbox, by simply soldering wires to points on the board. So as you guys can see, the D point is the glitch point, and then the C is usually, hold on, yeah, so this right here, the D, okay, yeah, I know it, haha, really funny, but, okay, let's just say the CPU reset. The CPU reset point is where the glitch chip will reset the motherboard. And then the post out, or not the post out, actually E and F, which on the on RGH1 it was the PLL bypass, as well as some other things such as post out and the standby clock. Those all factored into glitching the board. PLL was mostly a mostly what did the work. So yeah. And then what it would do is it would then glitch the board, and then we would have the hacked image because we would write something called Zell Reloaded. If you guys have never seen what Zell Reloaded is, that is the information of the console. You could press the eject button and it will load up into Zell. That will simply give all of the information of the Xbox, or mostly the broad information, and then you would type in the CPU key. With the CPU key, you were able to mostly have or own the whole Xbox and run the unassigned code. That was the main goal. With these glitch chips, without having that CPU key, you are not going anywhere. You are basically at a stopping point. If you cannot get your CPU key, there is no further point into moving on. So this is basically what that chip was trying to successfully do. To get your CPU key, use these points on the cool runner to then communicate with the board, to load Zell, get your CPU key, put it into your favorite hack tool, such as JRunner, and then make the modified image with the CB and all of these XE build settings. I'm really not going to get into the XE build settings, just the broad, just the broad vision of it. So that is RGH1, and it's basically going to be like that for all of the other consoles, but there is a little bit more to it. Then, sadly, Microsoft had then caught on, and they said enough is enough. They had then killed the RGH1 hack. And then sadly, there was no other method until, voila, RGH2 had came out. And let's just do RGH2. RGH2 was a whole nother story. And let's just say it was a bit more complicated, and there were a lot more problems because we didn't know what the hell we were doing. With RGH2, you were not able to get your CPU key with one of the cool runners. Now, I know what you might be saying, well, no, you can now, because okay, that is with the cool runner Rev C. We now have, there used to be cool runner Rev B and A, as you guys can see. There was a lot more to do on the cool runners and the A and B. So what you had to use is something called a DGX. Now, I'm going through the whole history of RGH1 and 2. DGX Slim. And this was the only way to simply get your CPU key, is you'd have to install the chip, actually install this DGX on the chip, DGX on the board, and this was simply your only way of retrieving that CPU key, because it was impossible to do with RGH2, and let's just say it was a bit more confusing. So then what we had did is, then the Core Runner Rev C came out. And then with the Core Runner Rev C, we were able to get our CPU key and do it just perfectly. But when the RGH2 method came out, it was a lot more confusing. Okay, and let's see, what else do we have? CO3 lights were also another method. They were the same as the Cool Runners, but a bit more intense, and they, let's just say, the CR3 lights, CR3 lights were a pain in the butt. And I'll say a couple things. I've used CR3 lights, and let me just tell you, they are a total waste. Do not buy them unless you are very professional at modifying glitch times and dibs. And I bought like 5 of these, and it was not worth $30 in the month wait from China. Okay, yeah. So CO3 lights, all of this was just to simply to glitch the system. And let's see, RGH2, okay. Now, you guys should get the general point of the RGH2. Now I'm going to switch over to RGH2, but more of the modern RGH2. We used to use Cool Runners. Not anymore. I've noticed that they are no longer being used by a lot of people, and I'll tell you why. Thanks to 15423's timing files with the Ace V3, it has simply wiped out the Cool Runners from ever being used. Because with the Cool Runners, the timing files were you know, they were stock and they're JRunner, and they just weren't as good. So then came along some other chips such as the Ace chip. Here, actually, let me just type them in. We have the Ace V3. As you guys may know, it is a glitch chip. It's what we've been talking about. We have this. And then came the Matrix glitcher, which is then this. Oh, don't want that. And then we then got the come on, X. God damn it. X360 wrong. Excuse my language. And then, yeah, okay, that's a Radio Shack board, and I'm telling you, they are awful. I mean, not awful, but I will say that, they look kind of, I don't want to use ghetto, but they're just ugly, okay? And then we also got the Squirt. I don't want porn coming up. Squirt 2.0, come on, don't give me porn. Okay, thank you. I typed in, there was one time I typed in Squirt and it gave me a whole bunch of nasty images. Okay, so then we got the Squirt chip, which, again, very, very, very good tool. I think you're able to read your NAND, if that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, very expensive chip though, but very good. And this was after the Cool Runner and all these new chips started coming out, because Team Executor simply wasn't pushing out new stuff. They pushed out the CR4, which was a total bust. I mean, a lot of people had bought them, but the Ace team came around and just swooped it right up. They knocked Team Executor on their butt. And you know, some people hate all these new chips because they've wiped Team Executor, but that's most likely because they probably wasted their money on all these CR. Okay, yeah, see, exactly, that's why I don't like typing in Squirt 2.0. But anyway, I will say one thing, CR4 was probably really good. I've done, I think, 1 or 2 installs, but they were just so expensive, and no one wanted to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, because they were $30 a piece. But when you could just pop in an Ace chip, you don't have to do all these modifying the dibs and all that. You just have to solder some wires. I mean, you've seen me do it. It's easy. With RGH 1.2, thanks to 15423, his timing files had then wiped out the RGH2 for FATs, because RGH2 method, with the Cool Runner Rev C, you were able to do it. For RGH2. But the thing is that the boot times were awful. Nobody liked the boot times. So what had happened is, thanks to, whatever his name is, okay, I shouldn't say that, but 15423, the guy who then made new timing files, and he made a crap ton of timing files. Like, this dude must have learned rhythm, and because most of the time timing files are like rhythm into the X-Link chips, and he must have learned that, and he resurrected RGH1, but he tweaked it a little bit. He put a 2 on the end of that because you don't use the E and F points. Here, let me show you guys. Because with the RGH2, what you had to do is you had to use E and F on the chip, and this was used as the glitch. E and F would glitch it. The thing is he said, oh, well, I don't know if he said this, but what he probably did is he said, okay, screw this E and F. We are going to bring back the PLL bypass, which he did. And what he did is he made his own timing files, a crap ton of them, which simply resurrected the RGH1, and then he just put a nice big fat 2 onto it. That's basically that in a nutshell. And that simply, made it. Props to him. He did a bang up job. And then that also went for the Ace V3. What that is he had also coded timing files for this chip to then get near to instaboots, which without that, I do think Ace V3 came with preloaded timing files for Coronas, but I don't think that they had that for Trinities. I do think that they had sort of a alternative for the Ace V3s for timing files, but they weren't as good. 15423 came around. He did a bang up job, created his own timing files. Comprendo. Bang up job. Okay. So thanks to him, also on other chips, such as the Matrix, I think Squirt has their own little timing files, which, again, Squirt's very good. Basically, it's kind of leaving Team Executor in the dust, unless they have some sort of a background in between. So, I just want to recap with you guys. RGH1 simply was taken out at 14699 dashboard kernel, which simply used the PLL bypass. After that had happened, RGH2 came around. The Core Runner Rev A and B were there to glitch it, but the thing is that they would not retrieve the CPU key. So what they did is that they used the GGX to retrieve it. Core Runner Rev C came around. That would do it for you. And then what had happened is we then got the CR4XL. Well, guess what? Too expensive. A group came out, created the Ace chip, as well as probably some other chips that might have came before it, I'm not sure. Squirt came out, Ace, X360 Run. You guys can look these chips up, and they simply had just, I don't want to say it, but demolished Team Executor unless they have something behind all of these chips that have came out. Let's just say that Team Executor was the starting point. We cannot forget that. We can't just say, oh, Team Executor sucks. Without them, we would be nowhere into modding without them. So yep, that's basically it. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day. Tomorrow is Friday. I have spring break is almost up. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, peace out. Enjoy yourselves, and yeah.